Vandaag bij Antwoorden met Bayless Conley.
He said, the Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Openly where it can be seen by everyone else. The fasting and the prayer, well, they're in secret. That's between me and God. But when the results come, hey, it's tangible. People can see that something's happened. A breakthrough has occurred.
Welkom bij Antwoorden met Bayless Conley. Het leven kan soms een uitdaging zijn. Maar of het nu gaat om financiën, relaties, gezondheid of de vraag naar je doel in je leven, één ding is zeker. God ziet je. Hij houdt van je. En wat er ook aan de hand is, hij heeft de antwoorden op je vragen.
Are you ready? All right. God, we ask you for a spirit of wisdom and illumination. We ask you to speak to our hearts, make your word clear to us. May the veil be taken away. Give us understanding, we pray, so we can be participants, so we can be doers, so we can employ your word and experience the results that you promise. In Jesus' name. Matthew 6, we're going to begin in verse 16. Jesus is speaking. He said, moreover, when you fast, do not be like the hypocrites with a sad countenance, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear to men to be fasting. Assuredly, I say to you, they have their reward. But you, when you fast, anoint your head, wash your face, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. At first, he didn't say if you fast, but he said when you fast. All Christ followers should employ this discipline of fasting. And when you do it, you shouldn't make a big production out of it, obviously. I mean, you don't want to go broadcast it to everyone. You know, they ask you to go out for pizza. Sorry, I can't. I'm fasting. It's my second day, you know. You know, just don't make a big deal about it. You don't have to announce it to everyone. You know, make your fast between you and God. If other people find out, well, so be it. And fasting basically means to go without eating. Instead of preparing the meal and eating the meal and cleaning up after the meal, you spend that time praying and studying and seeking God. You know, in all the previous verses, verse 5 through 15, or most of the verses, Jesus talked in great detail about prayer. And then he moves right from prayer into fasting. Jesus connects those two things, praying and fasting. We do a disservice to the truth he's trying to bring across if we divorce those things. If we divorce prayer from fasting, it will do you little to no good spiritually. But fasting combined with prayer plus one other thing is extremely powerful. And that one other thing is that you need to fast and pray with a goal in mind. Notice again what he said in verse 18. He said, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Open results, open reward, an open goal, if you would. When you fast, have something in mind that you're fasting and praying for, whether it's healing, deliverance, the salvation of loved ones, the hand of God changing some outward circumstance, or you're just devoting this time to get closer to God so you can know Him better and be more sensitive to His Spirit and learn His ways. But don't just sort of fast and hope something happens. Have a goal in mind. He said, the Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. Openly where it can be seen by everyone else. The fasting and the prayer, well, they're in secret. That's between me and God. But when the results come, hey, it's tangible. People can see that something's happened. A breakthrough has occurred. A change has taken place. You know, as a brand new believer, I read in the Bible that we're supposed to fast. I didn't have any instruction or training in it, but I talked to a friend and we decided to fast 1 day a week together. We're, neither one of us knew much, and I think I knew less. And so we took 1 day and we didn't eat anything and we didn't drink anything. Now that's not wise, but I didn't know any different. But that's the way we did it. I tell you, I got so thirsty, but for 1 day every week, for a long time, I ate no food and I didn't even have a sip of water. And we always did it with a goal in mind. We were praying for something we wanted to see happen in the community or some breakthrough here or this or that. And honestly, I don't remember a single time of fasting and prayer that we didn't get results. I don't remember one time that we didn't get an answer. And I do remember every time I felt hungry, I prayed. Every time my stomach growled, I prayed. Instead of making the meal, I spent the time praying. I remember one time, there was this guy, he was sort of the shepherd / pastor of all of the hippies in town. All the new Christians like me, that had come to the Lord and had come out of backgrounds like I had, and he, was probably 10 years ahead of us. He'd come to Christ maybe 10 years before, and he and his wife opened up their home for everybody to stay there. Literally, you walked in their house, you had to step over the bodies. In any given day or night, there was, I'm going to say, between 5 and 10 people sleeping on their floor. Most of them had come out of a drug culture and out of a background of alcoholism and just a lot of trouble. And they felt that that was their mission. And so he's teaching these guys and, but they just opened their home. It was actually a beautiful thing. And I got to know him fairly well, but I realized something that I just felt that it was unwise. I remember I went to his refrigerator once, to get something to eat, and there wasn't a stick of butter in there. There wasn't a piece of bologna in there. There was zero food in the fridge, but there was a lot of wine in the fridge. He enjoyed his wine, and I honestly don't think that was an issue, but in the context, it was an issue. Because you've got all of these young people there, new converts to Christ, many of them still struggling, with sort of the grave clothes of the past, just coming out of a drug background or a background of alcoholism. And this guy's freely, drinking wine in front of him. And I mean, there's no food, but there's always, a gallon of wine in the refrigerator. And I remember thinking, I'm a brand new Christian. You know what? This is really a stumbling block, to some of these other young guys here. And it was a blind spot to him, and we all have blind spots. And again, I don't think drinking was the issue. I think the issue was the context. It really was being a stumbling block for all these young new believers there. And as a new Christian, I didn't feel it was my place to talk to him. Didn't feel it was my place at all, but I went to my friend. I said, look, here's the deal. Why don't we take a day and fast and pray that God will just speak to him about this? Because I really feel that it's going to end up, some of these guys are going to end up going back into their old life because of what they're seeing and experiencing here. So we did. We fasted and prayed for a day. And, I felt like we connected with God. And it was maybe a week later, I'm with this person I'd fasted and prayed with, and the guy, the hippie pastor, says, hey, come here, sit down, I want to talk to you. I said, okay. He says, listen, I want to teach you something. He said, I have the liberty to drink all I want, but I've decided that I'm not going to in the context that I've been doing it in. I realize that it could be a stumbling block. He says, the one law we have in the New Testament is the law of love. And I just feel like if I continue to do it, I'd be stepping out of love because it would stumble some of these young Christians. So remember him pointing out, now you remember that. I'm trying to teach you something here. And it's like, yes, sir, that's awesome. I'm going to remember that. But we always had answers like, to me, that was absolutely miraculous. But those things were pretty commonplace. Now listen, fasting does not impress God. It does not change God. It does not persuade God to do something that he wasn't willing to do before. Fasting helps to change us. It helps bring us to the position where we can hear from God and where we can lay hold of His power, where previously we found it difficult to lay hold of His power. You see, there's two main things that are keeping us from laying hold of God's power and keeping us from hearing His voice clearly. There's two main things, and I got news for you. The devil doesn't fill either one of those positions. He's not a problem. Jesus has already defeated him. What are the two issues then? The two issues are this. Number one, our body, its desires and its demands. Secondly, our unrenewed mind and emotions. You see, each one of us, we are a triune being. I am a spirit, I have a soul, I live in a physical body. When I accepted Christ and got born again, my spirit was born again. James wrote to believers, and he said this to believers, to Christians, in James 1:21, receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to save your souls. It's a process that goes on as we renew our mind and our thought lives with the Scriptures. My spirit, born again, changed. My mind is being renewed, as it speaks about in the book of Romans. You could say your soul is in the process of being saved. And our bodies, that's the third part of the equation here. Well, our bodies still have the sin nature in them. One day we're going to get new bodies made like unto His glorious body, but in the meantime we have this treasure in earthen vessels. And our bodies still want to do naughty things. And our body must be brought into subjection. My spirit's born again, my mind, my thought life has to be renewed, my body needs to be brought into subjection. Paul wrote this, 1 Corinthians 9:27. He said, I discipline my body and bring it into subjection. Now, who's the I? It's the spirit man on the inside. I discipline my body and I bring it into subjection. Romans 8 and in Galatians 5 tells us that our flesh wars against our spirit and against spiritual things. And so does the carnal mind or the unrenewed mind. Now listen to me. Fasting, first of all, will help to shut down the voice of your body and cause it to become still. Something that some people have never, ever experienced. Some people are ruled by their flesh. It totally dictates their schedule. And if they act like they want to do something else, their body will cry out like a spoiled child until it gets its way. I'm hungry, feed me. I'm tired, I don't want to get up. I'm hungry again. I want a cigarette. I want sex. I want to watch TV. I'm tired, I'm hungry again. How many know your body has a voice? It has the sin nature, and it will just go at you and go at you and go at you. And to some people, that's the loudest voice in their life. Fasting will cause your body to shut up, and it will allow your spirit to speak up and reach out to God. Now, fasting also helps us to control our mind or our soul. King David said these words in Psalm 35 and 13. He said, but as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting. You see, the unrenewed mind will worry and fret and literally go crazy when pressure comes. Fasting, coupled with prayer and the Word of God, will help bring your mind into submission. And when your mind is brought into submission and becomes quiet, and the voice of your body becomes quiet, your spirit is released to have communion with God. And my friend, listen to me. That's where the power comes from. That's the place where you can hear and discern God's voice readily. But usually in most of our lives, there is so much noise. I mean, add to it, the noise of kids and the TV's going and this person saying that, and just so much noise in society. And then our bodies continually crying out, and then our unrenewed mind and our bodies need to be brought under subjection and quieted. And that's one of the main things that fasting does. Our two main distractions are hushed. Here's an interesting story, Matthew 17, verse 14. Matthew 17 and 14. And when they had come to the multitude, a man came to him, kneeling down to him and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is an epileptic and suffers severely. For he often falls into the fire and often into the water. So I brought him to your disciples, but they could not cure him. Just an interesting side note. I mean, Jesus is on the Mount of Transfiguration at this time with 3 of the disciples. So this is 9 of the apostles of the Lamb. And they tried to cure the boy and they couldn't. So obviously it must not be God's will for him to be cured, because, 9 of the apostles of the Lamb prayed for him. Well, Jesus comes along, we're going to find out, and did cure the boy. So it was the Father's will. And just because somebody prayed and there wasn't an answer doesn't mean it was not God's will to get an answer. I think we need to look to ourselves rather than just say, well, it just isn't the Lord's will. I think we need some introspection and need to search the Scriptures. So anyway, it says they could not cure him. Verse 17, then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him here to me. Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of him, and the child was cured from that very hour. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, why could we not cast it out? Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief. For assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you'll say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. Why couldn't we do it? Your unbelief. The cure for unbelief, prayer and fasting. When we fast and pray, we can hear the voice of God. My friend, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by what God says. Power comes when we pray. But they weren't prepared. Fasting is a key that turns impossibilities into possibilities. Their spirits weren't prepared for the challenge when it came. But Jesus was prepared. Apparently, Jesus had been praying and fasting. I had some people years ago, in fact, I was trying to figure out how long ago it was. It's over 40 years ago. I was teaching a Bible study in a home here in Los Alamitos. And the Bible study, we'd gotten a lot of traction. God was doing some things. People were getting saved. A lot of people were being filled with the Holy Spirit. We had some marvelous healings that took place. God was just in it. We're having a good time. And a couple of the people that started coming say, hey, Bayless, we'd like to bring this guy we know next week to study. I said, okay, that's great. Well, they said, we just want you to know there's something wrong with him. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, he just sort of acts out and he can get really aggressive and people are kind of afraid of him, but we'd like to bring him. We think that maybe he could be helped here. We've just seen some neat things happen. Seems like God is moving. I said, sure, bring him. Anyway, next week is Bible study day, and I'm, in the morning, I went in to fix some breakfast, and I felt like the Holy Spirit just whispered to me, don't eat today. You need to fast. So the man that they're bringing to the study tonight is demonized, and you need to be prepared. So I didn't eat. I spent the day praying, studying, just worshiping God. And they bring this guy in, and 5 minutes into the study, these weird voices start coming out of him. And everybody that was sitting next to him, whoop, moved away. He's by himself in one corner of the living room. And then he stood up, very aggressive, and started saying some very nasty things and challenging me. But I was prepared. I just smiled. I stood up, walked over to him, cast the demon out of him. And the change that happened in him was instant and visible. He sat down. He looked like a different person. And I tell you what, the meeting was on that night. We had a marvelous time in the Word and worshiping God. Jesus set him free. I'm just glad I chose to prepare myself. Now, all of us at times are going to be facing challenges that we don't have the resources to deal with. I think it's important to be led by the Spirit. He'll let you know when you maybe ought to skip a meal and spend some extra time fasting and praying. Now, the disciples in this story, it's interesting, they said, why couldn't we cast him out? Now, they asked that because earlier in Matthew chapter 10, Jesus had already authorized them and commissioned them to cast out demons. And they had gone about healing the sick and casting out demons. Jesus had already given them authority to do it. And now they run against a brick wall and they don't get results, and they say, what's going on? They'd done all the right things, they'd said all the right things, but they had failed. And if you've been saying all the right things and doing all the right things and getting no results, you may need some fasting along with prayer if you want to get a breakthrough. You know, there's a marvelous story told in Judges 20. We find the story of Israel going to battle at the direction of God, but they suffered 2 humiliating, huge defeats, one after another. But next they come before God with fasting. It was the only thing that was different. And when they went out the 3rd time, defeat was turned into victory. They were in the will of God. They were doing what God had said. Now God, He didn't give us all of the reasons, but He did give us this part in the narrative. They did what God said. They were doing the right thing. They failed again, huge casualties, and then they went on a fast. God said, go again. Something happened during that time of fasting. If you have experienced repeated failures in some area, and yet you feel like you're in the will of God, I think some prayer and fasting may be in the future for you, something that you need to do. And if nothing else, it gives God an opportunity to fine-tune us. Because the problem is not going to be with God. The problem is going to be down here. The failure is going to be down here. You know, when Rebecca was in 5th grade, Jan and I bought her a bicycle. Now, I will confess that I am not the best guy when it comes to putting things together. I have a toolbox and I've got tools in it, but I don't know how to use all of them. Most of the time when I try and put something together, if it's a barbecue grill, whatever it is, I don't always follow the instructions really well. And I usually end up with a few nuts and bolts left over, and sometimes I have to go back and find out what I did wrong. I just always seem to think there's a better way to do it. But with this bicycle, I followed the instructions explicitly. And the front tire just wasn't centered. It just didn't work right. And I couldn't figure it out. And I'd gotten it, in a box from this place, and I'd spent, a few hours putting it together. So I took it back to the place. I said, there's something wrong with this bike you sold me this morning. I said, I put it together. I followed the instructions, and the guy went over to it, turned it upside down, spun the wheel, and for about 30 seconds, he made this little adjustment, and then it was perfect. And I'm like, duh, why didn't I see that? It wasn't that hard, just the tiniest adjustment, and it worked right, and it continued to work right after that. And I think sometimes maybe we're doing our best to follow the instructions, and yet we're not getting the results. Maybe a little prayer and fasting is in order to let God make a little tweak, a little adjustment in us to change some things. Hello, friend. I hope that you got something out of that. And actually, we didn't finish the message in its entirety, so you're going to have to come back next time. We got some great things to share with you. But as we're talking about prayer and fasting, it is so important to say that fasting does not change God. Fasting changes us. Fasting shuts down the voice of our flesh and gives God the opportunity to work in us. It helps us to be more in tune with our inner person, and that's where God speaks to the inner man, to the inner person. That's where God works change from the inside out. Maybe you've never fasted before, coupled your prayers with fasting. It doesn't have to be a daunting thing. Even if you just skip one meal and spend that time that you would have been preparing your meal, eating your meal, you spend that time maybe on your knees with God's book open and your heart open to God, and He can speak to you. Let me just pray for you right now. Father, I know that my friend is not listening to me by accident. I know that you love them. And I pray that you'd show yourself strong in their life, whether it's with their family, with their finances, whatever it might be, God. I pray that you would bless them in the mighty name of Jesus. And as I do so many times, I want to close by saying thank you to our donors. We couldn't do what we do without you. We love you.
Heb je vragen over de uitzending? Of houd je iets bezig waarvoor we kunnen bidden? Schrijf ons dan of bel ons op. Ons team is er voor je. Wil je de uitzending van vandaag nog een keer bekijken? Ga dan nu naar onze mediatheek. Alle tv-uitzendingen zijn op elk moment voor je beschikbaar. Ga naar belis-canley.nl/mediatheek.
We have a daily email devotional that I believe can be of great benefit to you. You know, when we take God's word in every day, it helps us become established in the Lord. The Bible talks about the inward man being renewed day by day. Jesus had to take up our cross daily and to follow Him.
Lees de overdenking op je smartphone, 's ochtends bij de koffie, wanneer je onderweg bent of meteen op je computer.
Take time to sow the seeds of God's word into your life every day with this free email devotional.
Wil je meer weten en op de hoogte blijven van Antwoorden met Belis Canley? Meld je dan aan voor de gratis maandbrief van Belis per e-mail of per post. God zegen.